Rebellions are built on hope.
And welcome to another episode of Radio Rebellion, a Star Wars podcast. I'm your host, Alberto Calderon, and with us as always is our co-host, Oti. Oti, how you doing on this Star Wars Saturday? Optimus Prime, that's it. I remember, I was going to call you something.
Optimus Prime. There's a lot of wordplay with the name Oti. I'm not gonna get into it. I had a very specific name during high school that I will not mention because it's kind of vulgar. But yeah, we won't.
I'll try to find new ones every couple of weeks, but
it's very easy. It's especially in Spanish. Like
we'll leave it out. Maybe when we do our Spanish only episode someday.
Okay.
All right, Oti, we made it. I know it's Saturday, so close to Ahsoka. And even closer than we thought a couple of days ago, and we'll get into that. Let's hurry up. Again, we're going to be talking Ahsoka. It's our take 2 on Ahsoka. There's so much to talk about before that show drops. And at the end, I'll do a quick spoiler-free review from a certain point of view, Return of the Jedi.
I think we should be very transparent and say that there's not much going on. And
we're
going to be redundant.
It was like you just told me right before we started, okay, that point, just remove it. We talked about that last week. And there's some things I might repeat, but we'll try to look at them from a different angle.
Thing is that I get nervous with these kind of shows because I change my mind a lot and I can't remember what I said last week. Yeah. So,
the thing for me is we say something or we're getting ready to talk speculation or whatever, and then a new trailer drops and it kind of just cuts our whole theory down the middle. It's like, and then do I even do it?
Yeah.
All right, everyone out there, make sure that if you're watching this live for the first time, thank you for being here. Make sure you subscribe to our show so you don't miss any of the Ahsoka episode discussion we're going to start next week. Make sure you like our video and comment down below if you're watching this later on the recap. And also, if you're listening to us on the audio podcast, as always, thank you. Leave us a 5-star, 4-star, 3 stars. It doesn't matter. Just leave us some rating on wherever you might be listening to our podcast. And ratings, review, all of that fun stuff. All right. Our friend, I'm just going to catch a real quick. Our friend Brennan is here. Hello there.
Hello, Brennan.
Brennan's going to be here live with us next week. Finally, we talked about it so much. It's about time we got him here. And I spoke with Buck. I think there's only 1 week he can make it because he has some other appointment.
Okay.
And then you told me that your friend Tony wants to be here on an episode. We'll do that. So
yeah.
All right. Before we start, I've been reading again. Was pretty lucky that I got an advanced copy of Tales of Light and Life. I'm so happy to be back in the High Republic era, Oti. I missed it so much, even though it wasn't that long that phase 2 ended. I'm taking my time with it. I know it already came out for people that went to San Diego Comic-Con. It was there. It doesn't actually come out, I think, till September 5th. So it's still a few weeks away. I'm not rushing it to get my review out. I'll get it in the next couple of weeks. I'm only 2 stories in. I'm loving both of them. You're going to love that second one. It's a Martha Rose story after Path of Vengeance. What she's been doing. It's been a couple of years. I think if you love Martha Rose, like I know you do, you're going to love that one.
I love crazy women.
We'll leave it there. All right, let me.
I was just double checking that I had in fact pre-ordered mine, and yes, it says it's expected to arrive on September 15th, so a little bit over a month.
All right, less than a month.
I'm very excited for that book, I will say, and the comics leading up to Phase 3, I'm also very excited for.
Yeah,
High Republic,
dude. All right, so if you guys are ready, I'm not ready. Let's talk Star Wars. And again, we start with some Ahsoka talk. Sorry, I should say Ahsoka!
Ahsoka Tano!
Always trying to... I'm sorry, I had the same graphic as last week. I wasn't going to change it. It's Ahsoka. We'll talk about it. So like you said, we'll be transparent. There's a lot of Star Wars news for a lot of reasons, mainly because a strike is going on. So there's nothing new that can be talked about. Skeleton Crew, when it's
Contracts
happening,
are
we
not
don't
being
care about that.
negotiated. Like,
Yeah, it's just like the actors and writers work their thing.
I think, being funny about it, the best thing about the strike going on and Ahsoka coming out is that there's no actors doing press.
Yeah.
No one's like accidentally revealing anything.
Yeah, you don't want one of those Rogue One kind of reveals at the end. And then we all die. It's like, what are you doing?
Mary Elizabeth Winstead accidentally reveals Kanan is in the show. Yes, I love working with Freddie Prinze.
Yeah, what? All those were just jokes that he was saying. But I think we gotta start. This is supposed to come out Wednesday at 3 in the morning, so we can't sleep. No, they pushed it forward to not just for let's start Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, and then that's gonna be when all the new episodes drop each week.
HBO time.
Yeah, like regular streaming channels do out there.
Yep.
Were you surprised, and how happy are you about this?
I won't say like I'm ecstatic about it. Full disclosure, I'm not a night person. I much rather prefer to, for example, at work. Some people stay up late at night. I'd rather go to bed early and wake up at 4 a.m. and start working. So for me, I'm like, damn it. Now on Tuesday, I'll have to go to bed like at 12 p.m. No, 12 a.m. I'm so like, no.
That's for that first one because it's 2 episodes. After that, just one.
Yeah, but usually at 9, I'm already like starting to get ready for bed. So
yeah, and then you gotta make sure you don't go to social media at 10:30 or something.
Yeah, no, but I'll stay up for Ahsoka. Like, it's not gonna be a problem. But I saw a lot of people like losing their minds, like, "Oh, finally!" I don't care.
I love it. I watch it Wednesday when I wake up. Anyway, I don't wake up at 3 in the morning. I'll watch it at 8 or 9. I'm very happy to be able to watch it on Tuesday if I can at 9:30 or something. I'm fine with it. If not, I'll wait till Wednesday. But do you think this is a shift now for Disney Plus to maybe start doing this with some of the other releases?
I think they're trying it out. Just like with Loki, it was like that first show that moved from Fridays to Wednesday, and it worked. So they just like moved everything to Wednesdays. I think that if this works, they might shift it to. And also keep an eye on Echo, which is coming out in November, which is the first show they'll release like the entire thing. I think if that does well, they'll probably do the same thing.
I'm gonna say I've always been a fan of just the whole drop. I always like the big. Let me get through my story, then you can jump in. Because I don't binge all of it in one day. Sometimes it takes me a couple of days even to just start, or maybe I watch one episode a day and it takes me a week, 2 weeks to get through it. So I don't mind it too much. But the more that I've been watching either the Star Wars shows, House of the Dragons, Rings of Power, Strange New Worlds, which are weekly drops, I've enjoyed it. I don't feel like, oh man, I have to wait 1 week. I can wait a week. So it's like, I don't need everything to be just drop all at once anymore.
Alberto, if Star Wars show dropped like all at once, we would have nothing to talk about for most of the year.
I know. We'll be repeating all our shows. So
yeah.
So at least we have time to talk books.
I
don't want to promote where I work. No UF today promotion.
Go Gators, I guess.
Go Gators.
What was I saying? No, I like the whole. I like the whole weekly format. I think people talk about it for longer. I think it stays like in the public zeitgeist for longer. So
yeah, like everyone says, if you drop Mando season 2 all on one day, then Luke at the end takes everything
for sure.
So it doesn't make sense. So maybe just hold the finale. But I'm fine with doing this little change, just having an actual time where people can watch it. But I do understand, and you've said it here before, talking about celebration, Star Wars is global. It's not just the US. So now that people that had it at a regular time, maybe in Europe and all those places, now they get the shaft now.
I mean, but I saw a lot of people on Twitter like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for our Asian friends and European friends." Like, no, screw them. They usually get it a good time, and
It's
I
been
have to
3
wake up at
years.
3 a.m. Like, no, now it's my turn.
Yeah, it's been 3 years. They switch it for 3 years.
They
Like the
can suck
Olympics.
it up.
Every 4 years, we'll do a cycle.
They can suck it up. To be honest, the only person I saw saying this was Amy, and I love Amy. So
Yeah, Amy's
I'm
fine.
just kidding. But like,
Yeah,
no,
please
no.
don't unsubscribe. We love
No.
you, all our European and Asian fans, even during the World Cup.
Unless you're from Real Madrid, screw you. I said it.
Come on, that's fine.
I said it, Norhall.
Gotta get it here again.
Yeah.
So, Oti, I didn't tell you, but one of the reasons I wanted to do this episode today, this managing expectations, is because I'm having trouble getting excited for Ahsoka. I talked about, dude, again, why you don't let me even talk? But that's fine. Make your
I'm not
faces.
saying anything. I'm just like,
You know, when you said it here so many times, when people complain about a show or a movie, even before it comes out, and you say what? They just sit back, cross their arms, and go, impress me. So that was me last week when that trailer came out with the Anakin's voiceover, and it was Hayden Christensen, and everyone went crazy about what this means. I'm so happy. The prequel kids were eating, and I can't wait for Hayden to show up. Oh, it's new lines, and I just repeating lines from season 7 of the Clone Wars. So I'm like, this isn't enough for me to get excited. I've watched too many great televisions these past couple of months that have a lot of connections to past shows. And again, I know you hate when I mention Doctor Who or Star Trek.
I don't hate when you mention any of this.
So I'm gonna talk Star Trek real quick. And I know Star Trek and
by
Star
the way,
Wars.
I got Paramount Plus, so I might.
Oh,
yeah. So I found like a way around it. Like if you get it through Amazon Prime, it doesn't have the location restrictions.
okay.
So I now have it.
You gotta start. I mean, you'll do your journey. If you wanna do Picard, hit me up. I'll give you a few shows from Strange Next Generation if you want, or just go.
We'll talk about it. I really want to see Picard, but
yeah,
I just can't get into Next Generation.
So Next Generation. Or let's talk about Picard real quick, because Picard, I think, measures or mirrors Ahsoka a little bit in terms of this show about this character, beloved character from a different show, have their own show now, and we expect all those older characters from the previous show to show up. The main cast from Next Generation doesn't show up, all of them together for that final mission, till halfway through season 3, which is the last season of Picard. Yes, some of them appeared in season 1 for 1 or 2 episodes, same thing on season 2, but all of them didn't show up till that last hurrah, basically. So it was fully earned. Strange New World does something real similar when Spock, Uhura, and Kirk finally kind of just have a little sit down and the camera pulls out as the show is ending. And this is halfway through season 2. So just, here's Anakin. It's not enough for me to say, okay, here we go. So Star Wars is back, quote unquote. This is going to be the greatest show ever. So that's why I'm like, you got to impress me, because just a little voiceover doesn't do it for me. So that's why, we got to manage our expectations. These past 2 days, I've come down. I'm really excited for it. For people like that, what can you say to tell us, dude, just come down and watch the show as it shows up?
I mean, dude, just calm down and watch the show as it comes out. No, I mean, I get the whole Anakin thing, because we also just had him in Kenobi, and he was there. He was like epic. But also, like, it's a trailer. It's meant that trailer specifically. I think it's meant for people like my dad. Like, hey, look at Anakin. He's probably gonna be here. So yeah. I don't know. I honestly, Alberto, I think you're kind of playing like a bit, because I don't know how you can watch all these trailers and be like, no, I'm not excited for it. Like, I think this is the most excited I've been for a Star Wars thing since probably Rise of Skywalker, and I had been waiting decades for Kenobi. So I'm very very excited for this one.
So this is one of the reasons why. I told you in the first trailer, I loved it, all the new stuff. When the second trailer came out, which was very Rebel-centric, I kind of took it down a little bit.
Do you not like Rebels?
I love Rebels. Rebels is still kind of my favorite Star Wars TV show.
Okay.
But to me, again, a lot of my complaints here are my problems. I'm not saying that they're Ahsoka's problem or whatever. To me, Rebels was a full show, 4 seasons. It told the whole story. Yeah, Ezra, we lost Ezra. But everyone's saying, oh, Ahsoka, this is Rebels Season 5, and we're going to jump into that. Oh, we needed the continuation of Rebels or a Rebels sequel. I never felt like we needed that because for me, the whole story was in those 4 seasons. I didn't need more of them because I think that show covered everything. So when everything starts focusing more again into all the Rebels characters, and we're going to follow this story, this thread that was maybe unresolved, this Ezra thread, for myself, I didn't need it specifically. So that's why I'm more excited for all the new stuff than all the Rebel stuff. And since a lot of the new trailers have focused on Sabine, Hera, Chopper, and all that stuff, that's what's bringing me down a little bit. I stopped watching a couple of the new TV spots that came out later this week, like on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And that has calmed me down. And now I'm really excited for it. Especially, and we're going to jump into it in a couple of minutes, those early reactions. Everyone's loving these first 2 episodes. So that's my thing. I think Rebels was a full show that we don't need a continuation to it. So the more they focus on that, that's what's holding me back a little.
This is what I'm going to say about the whole Rebels Season 5 thing. I don't think this is going to be Rebels Season 5. Like, I don't even think the search for Ezra will be the main thing of the show. I mean, let's wait and see. Maybe, like, first episode's like, this is the whole
we found them.
So, but I'm still seeing this as the Ahsoka show, and it just makes sense for these characters to be involved because we know that they were involved last time we saw Ahsoka. So yeah, that's where I'm coming from. Like, if this was the Ahsoka show and Sabine had nothing to do with it, I'd be like, what is this? And like, where is she?
Do you think? Don't worry. Because a lot of people are saying for Mando Season 3, the liberation of Mandalore, Sabine isn't there. So maybe Ahsoka, the show Ahsoka is happening.
Who's saying she's there?
That she wasn't there. I've never seen people saying, where's Sabine? She didn't show up for the liberation of Mandalore. Maybe she's with Ahsoka at this point doing her own thing.
Yeah. And I also think like the whole Sabine thing, I like everything I've heard about it, the whole master and apprentice thing. I think we're going to get into that later.
Yeah.
But I do like that it has a purpose in the story. It's not just like, here's Sabine. Like, she's cool. She paints. And,
she's cool.
Yeah. No, I freaking love her.
You love her. I know you love her. So I had it for later today, but let's talk about it. This Rebel Season 5. A lot of people are hoping that it's Rebel Season 5. Do you think it has those characters, but it's, like you said, the Ahsoka show, and we're going to be focusing more on her path?
Yeah, no, I 100% think that's what it's going to be. I think if it was, I mean, there will be elements, and I'm sure it will serve as a great sequel to Rebels. But I think that if the focus was the Ghost Crew and these people and them together, the family, I think the show would be called something else, not Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Unless this is like a backdoor show pilot for a Sabine show or something.
Which I wouldn't put it past Filoni, but
no. Like, Sabine is my new obsession. I hate Ahsoka now. Anyone can write her. She is dead by Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, just kill her. Just someone kill her. All right, so let's talk about early reaction. So this was a surprise. First, it came out, I think, a couple of hours after, or the next day, it was that they moved the show up to Tuesday. But they made a fan event. And I've seen a lot of people on Twitter and social media, a lot of people saying that they went to this fan event, they saw the first 2 episodes, they had their reaction. Some people that are reviewers and this is their job. And then some fans that some people are saying they're hypocrites because on one end they said, okay, you're supporting the strike, but here you got an invite from Lucasfilm for a fan event, and then you're spouting out online that you were able to go there. So it's kind of, where's that balance? But we can focus on the reactions if you want.
Can I just mention, if you went to the event, own it. Say you went, like, I've seen people who posted that they went and then deleted it, and Like,
I mean,
come
if you
on.
post it, just
And also, if you didn't go, I don't know. I've seen people like upset at people like being like, "Hey, I was invited, I didn't go because X, Y, and Z," and being like, "Oh, you don't have to like show off on why you
yeah.
didn't go." It's like, who cares? Like
It's one of those. It doesn't. There's no win in that scenario. If you say something, someone's gonna find a fault in it.
I get the whole cynicism around it, like being like, yeah, you can't do a premiere, so let's do this as a publicity stunt. Like, I get that, like, and maybe not being on board with that, I think that's fine. But also, like, shitting on people who went, like, come on, like, sure, whatever.
Yeah. All right. So
like, I'm not a big fan of the strike police, especially if you're not a union member.
that's why I keep quiet. On our first episode back,
No,
I said
I went to law school. I took a union class, so this like gets me very annoyed sometimes. And like,
you know what's the greatest thing? It's as I'm reading from a certain point of view, and I'll talk about it at the end of the show. There's mention of a union. Let's start a union. Yeah.
Really?
Stormtroopers. The stormtroopers want to start a union. It's one of my favorite stories from that book.
I mean, that's like a very Star Wars thing. I love it.
Yeah. All right.
Union.
It's great. Operation.
Oh, Lauren.
Lauren is here. Lauren, she's saying this is the Ahsoka show for a reason. Yes, characters from Rebels will show up, but I don't think it will be a Rebels season 5 that we think it will be, in my opinions. Thanks, Lauren, for putting me back in my place, I guess, or calming me down a little bit.
Go ahead, Alberto. I'm sorry.
But the early reactions, you wanted to talk early reactions.
Oh, yeah.
Very positive. I think I read one and then kind of glanced at a few others, but everything I've read is extremely positive. I said those first 2 episodes take their time setting up what's happening. It doesn't just go boom, 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 which is what I kind of mentioned first with Star Trek taking its time and making things earn. So this is positive for some of my concerns about it. And then I stopped reading because I heard that there were some spoilers already online, and I didn't want some of these reactions to kind of give a little bit hints here and there. So I kind of stopped reading, but you told me you've seen most of them. So what are you seeing out there?
No, I've seen everyone very happy with it. I've seen people talk about the learning curve of going into it without having watched Rebels. Everyone I've read had said it. Yeah, it's like very accessible. Like, so I think that first episode will probably set everything up. Who's who? What's their connections? I've heard a lot of things about the score, which has me very excited. Because
these are the Kiners, right? They're coming.
The Kiners, yeah. I love everything Kiner and his family did with Rebels, what they're doing with Bad Batch, and seeing them in live action is gonna be like very exciting, I think. So yeah, they're very talented, and I'm glad to see them have like their day. I hope they do the movie also.
It just makes sense. It makes sense for them to do that movie.
If Filoni's, I think that if Filoni's directing, they'll be working on it.
Yeah,
it would also make sense to bring Ludwig in, but we'll see.
It's fine. He was, by that time,
have everyone coming and do like a weird score.
Yeah, let's bring Powell, Giacchino, everyone just put a song in there.
I want to mention I saw Laura Kelly talking about Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Hera. I know she was a little bit cautiously optimistic about it. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I think she was happy with it, and that gets me very excited because Hera, I think, is a great character, and having a great actress coming and do her, I think is perfect.
Yeah, Hera is a difficult one to pull off because not just was she in Rebels, she's been in video games, she's been in a ton of novels recently, so that voice is very distinctive, and her look is very distinctive, and just making a green Twilight doesn't make it Hera. So it takes a lot. So I understand why she and even myself and some people have been hesitant. So I'm glad to hear that seems to be paying off.
I think she's also a difficult character because she is like this loving mother figure, but she's also like this warrior person who's been involved since she was like a kid.
Yeah.
And that sense of duty. So I'm very excited to see Hera. I was thinking that she wasn't gonna, and this contradicts my whole Rebel season 5 point.
Yeah.
I was expecting her to be like in 2 or 3 episodes, and that's it. But I'm hoping she's in it a lot.
Yeah, I don't know, because trailers are deceptive, which is something I'm gonna talk at the end. We can be seeing all these scenes that Hera and Sabine are gonna show up already, and then everything else is Ahsoka, or they're gonna be an integral part of it. So it's difficult this time to see where the show is gonna go. If it's gonna be, I don't think this is an episode of the week like Mandalorian seemed to be. This seems to be a thorough story from beginning to end. So we'll see how that plays out. So another thing that people speculate a lot, and they have very bad expectations, is runtime. Oti.
Oh, we're
People
still doing the
already
runtime
we're
thing.
talking runtimes, and people
Okay.
already complaining that the first episode is 54 minutes. Great. Episode 2,
Oh, it's what?
40. The first one is 54.
Oh,
So everyone's losing their mind. Second episode is 42 minutes. Oh wait, we lost 10 minutes already. And then episode 3 is 34 minutes. So
oh, is it?
the episode police came out to say, what the hell is going on? Why are we keep doing this? And I'm like, dude, it's been like 3 years. Get over it. This is Star Wars TV. And if I keep doing Star Trek comparison, they have episodes that are 50 some minutes. Most of the episode average around 42 minutes, and there's been 37, 38 minutes episodes. So this is not new for TV out there. And after 5 years or 4 years of Star Wars television, why are we still complaining about runtimes?
And if we suddenly had like 10, 12 episodes, an hour each, people will be like, "Oh, that was filler."
Yeah. So I was gonna say, I prefer if they give me forget runtimes. I don't care, but maybe make the seasons more consistent. Every season is 10 episodes because we had 8 here,
Yeah,
10 over 6, 7 for Book of Boba Fett. It's like make up. I think that's more of a thing.
I will be honest. Like I don't really complain that much about the runtime, but I do find it weird the inconsistency of A, the length of the season, and B, the length of the episodes. Like suddenly going from a 54-minute episode to a 31, it's like, what? But it is what it is, and people who still complain about it, just like whatever. Like,
yeah, I mean, even Andor, we all love Andor. People praise Andor. There were a few 30-minute episodes. Nobody complained back then. So it's just, let's engage with this story. Runtime doesn't really matter that much. As long as they can tell the story, it's not rushed. Get used to it. But I would prefer if it's everything either 8 episodes or 10 episodes. That's a perfect number there.
I would just like consistency.
Yeah. Hopefully.
But hey, whatever. I've liked every show, so it's fine.
All right. I'm sorry to everyone watching because I told Lottie before we started, I have my second screen right here and it's too close. So I got to pull back every time I look at my notes. All right. Let's talk about Jedi. You wanted to talk about Ahsoka Jedi. People are still complaining about this.
Again, another complaint going on. I'll never forget that Mando episode called the Jedi and being like, "Oh, Filoni's being careless because she's not a Jedi." It's like, okay, yeah, they forgot about it. Like,
so what are your takes? Because there's been, I think last week there are a bunch of articles out there and people online. What makes a Jedi? Why is Ahsoka really a Jedi? Why is she not? And then all the ads, not all of them, but some of the new ads for Ahsoka are saying a new Jedi will rise. Is this Ahsoka? Is it Sabine? Is it Jacen Syndulla actually?
We're in the same pinnacle we were in with the sequel trilogy. Every time something came out, oh, is it Ben? Is it Luke? Is it Rey?
Yeah.
I'm opening up to the Sabine idea.
Okay.
Honestly. It's not what I want. It's not what I expected nor thought her story was going. But if it is that, I'm opening up to it. And it's the whole a new Jedi will rise. Or maybe they are setting up this whole story with Ahsoka and building her up to be a Jedi again. I don't know. We'll see.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
Like rebuilding her to be a Jedi. I think we've gone through this. We don't need to reset. She says she's a Jedi. It's been like 10 years since Rebels. She's a Jedi. We don't need to rethread.
No, she said, "I am no Jedi."
Exactly. 10 years ago. You think those 10 years you couldn't just...
I think this... I mean, I don't think the show will ultimately end with her being like, "Yes, I am no Jedi again." But I think it's an interesting journey she'll be in, and I think it'll be an interesting ride to take new viewers in, people who, for example, people like my dad who only mostly watch the movies and the live action shows, and suddenly having this Force user who he thinks is a Jedi because she trained with Anakin, and suddenly being like, no, she's not a Jedi. She just has cool lightsabers and that's it. And then having her evolve, like exploring that, like what it is, what it means to be a Jedi.
I think if they do what you mentioned last week, that part of this show is from that ending of Rebel season 4 or season 3, wherever that thing of Malachor happened, when her fight with Vader, and then kind of shows that transition, that makes sense. But going from there to Mandalorian season 2, and then I'm a Jedi, here's Luke Skywalker in Book of Boba Fett and all that, so then go back and say, no, actually I'm not a Jedi, I'm still on this journey. I don't know.
She never mentions she's a Jedi in the. She's just like, nah, I can't help. Look for someone else.
A Jedi and a Mandalorian. They'll never see that coming.
All right. Yeah, that was said.
Yeah. Anyway, she's a Jedi Go ahead.
I would like that bridge, though. I want to see her journey accepting her role as a Jedi, because to what you asked at the beginning, I think she is like the most Jedi that ever Jedi'd.
I won't go that far, but okay. But I hope if we get something, I don't want her to be on that path like right now, like 10 years after Rebels. I hope this happened 5 years ago and we get that, because I think by this point she's already there.
But we don't know when this takes place.
Exactly. Oh no, exactly. You're 100% right there. Well, let's talk about Sabine and this Jedi. Is she training to be a Jedi? Did Ahsoka try to train her? There's a lot of master and apprentice promotion going out there. And I've said, like you, I really don't want her to be a Jedi. And I was thinking about this earlier this week. And as I was thinking about it, my subconscious told me that I was wrong anyways. But it was like, she's too old to be a Jedi, right? We've always been told that you need to be a kid. They have to take you when you're young. And then like Luke Skywalker was like 18 years old and he didn't know anything. 19. So Rey was like 20. And she just thought also. There was something. Well, it's Sabine 19, then maybe that's the right age. But it's like, okay, that point doesn't matter.
Sabine's probably like 25 or something.
Don't make her 19. We don't know the ages of theirs.
They'll probably like no, she is 19 and she was 10 in Rebels.
Yeah. Oh my. But to me, it needs. Why does Sabine need to be a Jedi? This is for me to accept that she's trained to be a Jedi. She was a fully fledged Mandalorian character by the end of Rebels. She doesn't need to be a Jedi for that character to be better than she already is. So it needs to make sense for her to be a Jedi. Like, oh, let's just make a Jedi because we need a new one. That's not enough. Like, she's a great Mandalorian. Why does she also need to be a Jedi? So that's where I'm at this roadblock right now.
I can see them like having a good reason about it, but I also see the George Lucas spirit of it all. Of why not?
I hope there's a reason. Maybe she's not. Maybe she's just training because she hasn't held her lightsaber in so long. But
also, like, think about it. Like, why is Anakin a Jedi? Because, like,
don't know. Okay, was Boba Fett a bounty hunter?
Precisely. Like, what?
All right, we'll wait for 3 more days, and we'll find out.
Or hey, maybe she was always Force sensitive, but was just like repressing it, like Grogu. I don't know. I'll be fine with it. Whatever.
Yeah, I still think that I don't know. We'll see what happens, and I'll accept it depending the reason we get. But go.
I'm still not 1,000% convinced that that's the direction they're going on. I think it's on purpose that they are 100% teasing it.
Yeah.
But I think it could also be like to throw us, let's see.
I still go to some of the early trailers when she has her long hair, she's fighting Shin, and then we see them fighting again. To me, it's that first fight she lost badly, and then Ahsoka needs to train her like Kanan trained her with the dark saber. She just needs training using a lightsaber and bringing the Mandalorian effect into it. Same thing that she did in Rebels. I think that's where it's going instead of she's our next Jedi.
I think it would be very interesting to see a Mandalorian with a lightsaber and not using the Force, but using all that Mandalorian, gadgets and everything to her advantage. Like
she does in one of the. Maybe I don't remember the name. Those 30-second spots when she's in this forest. I don't know if she's fighting Shin or one of those droids. She's using those not wrist rockets, but the lasso, whatever she has. So she's
like the grappling hook.
Yeah,
but so also like seeing her with the jetpack and everything.
Oh
I think it'll be cool.
Yeah. All right. So since we're going through this, a new Jedi will rise and all that stuff. Do you think it's misdirection, all these trailers, not just with the Jedi stuff, but with Anakin talking to Ahsoka, giving her all this information? Because if you remember for the sequel trilogy promotion, especially for Rise of Skywalker, we got Duel of the Fates was used on one of the trailers and people went nuts, including myself. We got Luke saying that my family has this power, my sister has it, and you have it. And that really didn't play into the movie. Do you think maybe this is just promotional stuff that we're getting out there, especially this voiceover with Anakin?
I mean, that voiceover is 1,000% for the if you think about it, it doesn't have much sense in the context of the show. Like, protect you from the droids, and the droids are dead, man. I don't think any of it has been misdirection. I think it's always like setting up a mood, setting up a vibe, setting up the emotions that will be at play here. And again, I'm 1,000% sure Hayden Christensen is gonna be in the show. So if he shows up and says something else, if people are upset, like, he didn't say the trailer line, like, what the hell is this?
No, I'm not thinking that because that would be freaking weird unless they're just doing a live action recreation of season 7.
That'd be sick.
That would be cool.
But
maybe people are thinking that he's gonna be in it more than he really is. Maybe he's like Qui-Gon, just at the end. Oh, yeah, you're ready for your next steps, Ahsoka. And then that's it. We get 1 2-minute scene with Anakin.
I'm already spiraling. Like, can you imagine a scene with Hayden, Ewan, and maybe the aged Rosario? But
I thought we were getting that in Kenobi. So if we get it now, it wouldn't surprise me.
I'm gonna go off on a limb here and say I think Hayden will be in it. Maybe not in a lot of episodes, but I could see them have like one weird spacey episode where we deal with the Force and everything, and Hayden's like there, like, hey, Ahsoka.
I think he'll be there as a Force ghost for 1 episode. For some reason, she just needs that pick me up. But I think we're getting some flashbacks, same as we got Hayden.
Nah, I don't think so.
I think we're getting Clone Wars.
No,
like
go.
No, like we got in Kenobi with Attack of the Clones flashbacks. We went through about 2 episodes, or that whole episode. I think we'll get some of that, so we get more Anakin through it. But it's through flashbacks, and then 1 Force goes at one point.
I like that. I don't think we're getting the whole Kenobi, Anakin, Ahsoka, a Clone Wars battle. Like, I think it'll be something more personal, like that fight between Kenobi and Anakin. Okay. And I loved how that played into the episode. So if it were to play into this episode, it would be awesome.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the villains, because we expect a lot of people expect Thrawn to be the big villain of this season, and like we talked last week, maybe he'll show up once or twice. Do you think the big villain is gonna be this Inquisitor Marok / Ezra, or still will be the other 2 Force users?
I think it'll be Balon.
Okay.
I think he'll be like the main bad of the show. I don't think the Inquisitor. I may be wrong, but I don't.
He shows up fighting Ahsoka in a couple of different scenes, so maybe he's just the enforcer or something.
Did you see the clip of them fighting?
No. So you said the last clip that they released?
Yeah, it's intercut with Hera chasing someone.
No, so I haven't seen that one. I think it's called like 2 lightsabers or 2 sabers or something. It starts with the ship flying off. I didn't see it. I'm like, I don't want any more.
You get Chopper being Chopper.
I heard that he said,
like
put a lid on it, Chop.
He's like knocking on the ship. Like
Chopper, I'm excited for Chopper. Chopper is a hoot. So it's gonna be cool to see him back, just making his.
I've seen some pictures of him with the TVMA logo at the corner, which is funny.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know where I'm falling in terms of who's gonna be the big villain of the season. I do get Balon and Shin. Shin, I think she'll be there for Sabine, and Balon, she has that fight with Ahsoka in that star map or whatever we want to call it. I don't know how much it's going to be like the villain. Maybe they're just chasing. These Inquisitors are chasing Ahsoka for some reason.
Do you think the Inquisitor is the main villain? Or are you thinking Thrawn? Like, what are you thinking?
No, I don't think Thrawn... Thrawn, again... It's the same with Ezra. Ezra's going to be on one episode, just that little hologram. But I think I saw someone say that I love seeing and I think they mentioned the actor's name. I love seeing him on the big screen. So he already shows up in the first two episodes.
I'll mention this. I think the whole Finding Ezra is going to be quick.
It's going to be quick. It's going to be like Reclaiming Mandalore.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the main thing of the show. And people are gonna be upset, like, all these years waiting for it to get resolved in 3 episodes. Like, yeah,
that's fine. I don't think that they need to get to the world between worlds to find where Thrawn is hiding. Like, it's been 10 years. They should have a lead on how to get there.
He's probably somewhere in Tatooine.
Yeah, he's already making his way back. He's on Tatooine, just on the bar there with Garza. I don't know. It's difficult to say, apart from Thrawn, if there's a main villain here. It might be, again, like Kenobi, where, you had Vader, but you had the Grand Inquisitor plus the third sister and the other two. I think they're spread out. I don't think there's a main villain. I will get enough with all 3 of them. But Thrawn will, like always, just in the shadows. He'll do something at the end and then get ready for the movie to come out.
I don't know if this is a spoiler, though. From some reactions I read, I think that whole I think that scene with Balon and she showing up in the ship and being like, we're no Jedi, and killing everyone. I think that's like probably the opening scene of the show.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
And they're breaking out Elspeth from the New Republic. I kind of think that's how the show is gonna open up.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think that's right, because there's no reason for Elspeth to kind of be just running around at this point. They have to save her, and that makes sense. And they want to use her to find Thrawn. Yeah. All that power.
Also, is she a Night Sister?
Is that going to be revealed? That's been
She's using
that green weird thing, and she had the little small tattoo.
Yeah, the Star Wars Scarlet Witch thing.
It's gonna be the worst thing for every actor. So now you're gonna do this and Doctor Strange and all that stuff. And it all makes sense. So you gotta repeat it the same for when you do that same enchantment in the next movie. So for people that think that this is just leading to heir to the Empire, put a hold on it, right? We're not one by one doing a recreation of heir to the Empire.
Maybe it is.
It's
not gonna be a one by one, like, and it's not gonna be that. But I still think it's gonna be a version of it. It's gonna be an interpretation of what Timothy Zahn wrote. But I think that's gonna be the movie. I don't think it's gonna be this.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen here. So let's finish up with the War Between Worlds. I've seen a lot of people writing, and we talked last week, is the War Between Worlds gonna play a part in it? But a lot of people writing, is she going to be in the War Between Worlds? There's a leak, and I didn't read it completely, and I'm not gonna talk about all of it here, because it's from freaking Jason Ward and Making Star Wars. I know just people keep propping those. But it's something that happens in the War Between Worlds, and then people hoping that we get that scene from episode 9 with Rey talking to all the Jedis and all that stuff. Do you think we're really going to get not just that the War Between Worlds is going to be here, but that we're going to see events, different Star Wars events that have already happened. Do you think we're gonna get that deep into the war between worlds?
I mean, if we go into the world between worlds, yeah, 100%. Like just like in Rebels, we got Yoda talking in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
I think that would be a safe bet. I didn't know the whole Rey thing was a rumor from this guy.
No, that's separate. That's
okay.
someone
No,
on Twitter.
if that happens, like if we get like her walking around being like, "Oh, this girl needs my help," I'll be inconsolable.
Yeah. The rumor is the reason that she's there. She's doing something that she already helped Ezra with when she met him in the War Between Worlds. It's like she doesn't need to go through that journey. She already helped Ezra. We don't need to go through that. And
Again, but brace yourself for repeated story beats because that's a very much a Star Wars thing.
Again, I think it also depends. Like you keep saying, is when does this take place?
True.
If this takes that scene that I'm referencing takes place after the Ezra in the War Between Worlds, it doesn't make sense. If it's before and then she learns from here to help Ezra, then okay, makes sense.
Okay,
but see. Not what they said. The actual action that happens, I'm like, no, you can't do this.
I don't want to know. Right. What I will say, I was watching the World Between Worlds episode the other day, and I hadn't noticed that the last thing they talk about is he says, "Come find me after this is over," and she's like, "I promise." And it's like, oh, you have no idea what you got yourself into.
Yeah, we gotta. Oh, what did I say?
Now they're gonna have to make a TV show out of it.
Yeah, all those millions of dollars. All right, audience, we are 3 days away from Ahsoka, which was announced, I don't know, like 2 or 3 years ago. We're finally here. This connection to the Mandalorian universe. We've already seen Ahsoka. She's met Luke. All this stuff. Anything else that people should brace themselves as we get closer?
Brace yourself for not having your expectations met and the show being something different than you expected and accepting that that's okay.
Yeah. I'll do my best. It'll be as soon as the episode starts, I'll calm down. I want to make sure I'm not there just trying to find something to criticize, which happened with part of season 1 of The Bad Batch. I was just looking at things to criticize. I just want to be able to sit down and enjoy what I'm watching.
Engage with the story presented to you.
Yeah.
As they say in Force Center.
All right, so that's our talk on managing expectations for Ahsoka. I don't know if it was going to help anyone because people don't change.
People are going to scream anyways.
Yeah, just go to the comments later.
We fixed it, Alberto. We fixed the
We did it. Star Wars Twitter is again a beacon of holiness, and everyone can come back.
Star Wars X.
With the crack.
Like a dirty thing.
Very dirty. Every time I say Twitter, my daughter comes around and say, "It's X," but in a mocking way. Like,
if a child of mine said that, they would get it.
Yeah. She doesn't have social media, so she's just doing it to annoy me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I'm not. No, my 13-year-old is not going to be on Twitter.
Was I on Facebook at 13? No, I
didn't exist when I was 13. I got on Facebook, dude. I went to not even an interview. This is how old I am. When you had to take your printed out resume to a place and say, "Hey, I don't know if you're hiring, but here's my resume just in case." I went to an ad agency because I came from marketing and advertising. And I went and, "Hey, here's my resume," whatever. And then the person that talked to me, "Hey, what this and that, or do you have a Facebook account?" We'll send you a message. "Oh, of course I have a Facebook account." I'm driving home, log into Facebook. What the hell is this? And that was like 2002 or something. So
no. The first time I tried to do a Facebook account, I couldn't because you needed a college email.
Oh,
so
I was in college. I was just finishing up. All right, Dodgy, we're going to take this next couple of minutes to do a spoiler-free review of, from a certain point of view, Return of the Jedi.
A book I definitely read.
So I know you haven't read it yet, but I do want to get your perspective on a few things because you've read the previous from a certain point of view, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is my first time reading it. So there's a few things I wasn't too sure. And as I go through my kind of review on it, I'll get your thoughts on it. And if you have any questions, feel free to jump in. So I
Did you
think
like it?
this is a great book for anthology fans. If you like anthologies, anthology stories, if you love the other from a certain point of view books, I think you'll enjoy this one. And of course, if you're a big fan of Return of the Jedi, you're going to really enjoy this because it's basically summarizes the whole movie, but from different points of views. It's great because you can just jump and pick and choose what story you're going to read. If you're reading a story and you're like, I really don't like this one, let me go read the Anakin one. Or let me go read the Max Rebo one. And you can just jump back and forth. I didn't do this. I like just reading stuff in order, especially because it kind of follows the movie for the most of it. So I just read it in order. There is some stories I'm like, okay, I want to get through this so I can get to the next one. Most of them are short enough that you can sit down for 30, 40 minutes and go like three of these stories. There's a story, even though it was one of my favorites, but it took me almost an hour. They're freaking heavy. I know. I got the digital copy, so I can't show the big hefty one, but it's like 600 pages. Look at that. And I read kind of fast. It took me like a week and a half to get through all of it.
The Empire Strikes Back is longer than the New Hope one. Interesting.
Right. So, of course, there's a bunch of different type of stories. So if you like stories about creatures, you get those. If you like stories about droids, you get those. You like weird side characters like Max Rebo. He has his own story, and he shows up like in two more. Beep Fortuna has his story. What? Salacious Crumb, the freaking Sarlacc. So if you like all these, there's like a lot of stormtroopers, Speeder, the freaking... The scout troopers show up like in two stories. There's of course the Imperial admirals have their own, Lando, Wedge, figuring out how to be leaders when people's lives are in your hands. So you get a bunch of different stories, so you can pick and choose. Again, you might not love the whole book, but there's enough to keep people engaged, which is what happened to me. There's love stories, reluctant heroes, like I mentioned, creatures and all that stuff. So I'm just going to go real quick through some of the standouts for myself. Some of the stories I really love. Some didn't surprise me. There are characters that I know and love, and others I was really surprised at how much I love them. So The Key to Remembering from Olivia Chadda, and this is Torture Droid EV99.
Okay.
From Jabba's palace that R2 and C-3PO end up there. So he loves torturing. That's why he's there.
Oh.
But I'll be as spoiler free as I can. I think in one of them I might be a little spoilery, but I'll mention it before. But this is just him trying to understand the maker and the creators and trying to remember what makes us different, because his memory gets wiped. So it's like, what can I do to remember what happened before, and trying to be self-aware basically. And then he meets R2. He calls the anomaly. And then that story, which I think is that second or third story, boom, out of the park. One of my favorite ones. Again, a droid. Who wouldn't know? But I love that story. My Mouth Never Closes by Charlie Jane Anders. And this is the Sarlacc story. You learn a lot about the Sarlacc, how he got to Tatooine, more about that species. He's a vegetarian. Why are people just jumping in my mouth? Why are you doing this? It's giving me gas, basically. But it's a funny story. Some people might not like it, and one thing that I kind of, why are we doing this? Every time they talk about a creature, be it this one, the rank or whatever, they're just misunderstood creatures. Like sometimes a creature just should be an evil cannibal.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting story, so I did enjoy it. The Light That Falls. I love this one. This is Akemi Don Bowman, and it's in Dagobah, the dragon snake that we just see kind of its back, sensing that Yoda, or that creature in the hut, like he says, is dying. And as Yoda dies, well, you have the dark side cave and how that affects it. And the feeling in that swamp as Yoda is dying, and this predator, as she says, starts kind of coming up. Love that story, again, from the point of view of a snake. From a certain point of view, of course, from Alex Jennings. And here's when I might get a little bit spoilery. So I'll do like this when I'm done, just in case people want to tune out for a couple of minutes. So this is Obi-Wan telling Luke, of course, why he didn't tell him about Vader being Anakin and being his father. I'm kind of realizing it. But as he's thinking about this, it's realizing that he can trust Luke to the point to reveal that Leia is his sister, or like the other one is your sister, and trusting that Luke's going to make the connection. And understanding why he kept that before, because he saw Luke as Anakin's son, just having the same failures. Like Anakin loved the people around him so much that that's what led him to the dark side. Luke loves everyone the same way, so that's why Obi-Wan was a little bit reprehensive. But he understood at that point that Anakin felt the weight of the world on his shoulders, and that Anakin was the only one that was able to save everyone, at least from his point of view, and that's why he fell to the dark side. Where Luke at this point knows that he's just part of a bigger group, that he can't do it alone, and he needs the help of his friends to be able to push through the darkness and defeat the Emperor. So at that point, it's going to make him a lot harder to seduce to the dark side. When if you tell Anakin, hey, you have a twin sister and they're going to corrupt her, he's just going to go nuts. By telling Luke this, he's able to know that he can't do it, that he needs Han's help. He needs Leia's help. And that's why the Emperor can't turn him at the end. So I really, really love that story. And it took me a while. I read it, I enjoyed it, but the more I sat with it, it really got me into it. No contingency. This was a surprise. Fran Wild writes a Mon Mothma story as she's getting the information from the Bothans about the whereabouts. The Bothans are not mentioned, and I'm surprised that they didn't get their own short story, and I'm very sad. I was really hoping for the Bothans to have their own story. But she's trying to get a courier droid that has this information. She gets attacked by my friend, an Imperial probe droid, that she's trying to get this information back. And it's basically Mon Mothma saying, I'm putting everyone else's life in danger. I need to do this. So she puts herself in danger to go get that information. There's mention of Jean, mention of Cassian, mention of Luthen. So it kind of brings Andor into it. And this is it. Trooper Trouble. Laura Paul is a stormtrooper keeping daily logs of the mundane life of a trooper on the Death Star. And this was my favorite story. This should be an animated short. It's every day is a new day. Log 15, TK, what's it? TK 423, talking about this rivalry that she has with a droid, R2Q9, that keeps logging him out of its room, keeps bumping into him. He knows that the droid hates him, complaining that they don't refill the caf. The coffee machine is broken. They never fix it. They even have a bingo card like people do on Twitter. When a new show is going to come, they get a bingo card because Vader is showing up. What's going to happen? Who's going to be the first one to faint because they haven't standing in line for 8 hours. And here's when they talk about unions, because all the stormtroopers are sick to just being on the Death Star. They don't get paid. They don't have no coffee, all this stuff. And they can't say the U word, and they just call it Ugnaught. So every time they have, it's codename Ugnaught. It's the union.
Okay.
And of course, when the day that they're going to go on strike is when the rebels attack. So they can't really push on it. And I forgot to do, I'm done with my spoilers like 3 stories ago. And then, of course, I'll finish up with Brotherhood by Mike Chen. And this is Anakin after he dies, being redeemed and joining the cosmic force, basically, hearing the voices of all the people that he's loved, Shmi, Padme, Qui-Gon, and this ethereal form of Obi-Wan Kenobi that shows up and starts talking to Anakin and trying to explain what's going on. But it's then Anakin, like I just mentioned, thinking that the whole world is in his shoulder, even though he just died, or he's getting redeemed, trying to say, okay, I still need to fix it because all this was my fault. And Obi-Wan saying like, no, look out there. You see that little kid looking at us? That's your son. And you know who's coming? That's your daughter. They did it. You don't need to worry about it. Like, they saved the day. So those are my favorite stories. There's about, I counted 10 stories that I really either love or really liked. The others were a little bit meh for me. But I'm saying this is not the type of book for me. I'm not an anthology guy. I'm not one that really cares about all these background characters. So, the Imperial that found Luke Skywalker on that gangway before taking him to Vader. Okay, great. There's 3 ebook stories. They're good. I'll say every story is very well written. There's not one that you don't know what you're doing. This isn't Star Wars. It's just these aren't characters that I really am attached to. It's not a continuation that, okay, what happened here is gonna episode 3 is coming back. It's like, I don't care. Yeah, it's Max Rebo, great. It's not for me. So in that sense, I can't recommend it in terms of I love this book, go ahead and read it. But I'm not gonna tell you guys, if you really like anthologies and you like knowing what all the characters were thinking, then maybe it's for you. One thing I want to get your points, because I haven't read from a certain point of view stories. A lot of these stories start with a character in a scene from the movie for about 2 paragraphs, and then goes and talks about his life for 7 pages about nothing I have to do about Return of the Jedi, and then comes back for the last two sentences, and I'm dead because the station blew up. But it has nothing to do with Return of the Jedi. Is that basically how it is?
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of these books. I think they're fun, and I see a lot of people get angry, like, they're filling everything up, and it's like, come on, like this isn't like strictly canon. Like I don't see any of these movies and be like, oh yes, because this happened. Like with some stories, yeah, but it's not really like what I think about. So in that sense, I think it's silly when people get mad when another one of these comes out and they don't love it. But yeah, like with the other ones, there are stories I like, there are stories I don't like, and that's fine, and I don't really think about them that much. So that's just me. Alberto, you said you were not a fan of anthology books. I think that means you're not liking Tales of Light and Life.
I'm loving Tales of Light and Life because these are characters that I already know. The first story is about Axel Greylark. The first 2 words are Axel Greylark, and a big smile came in my face. The second story is about Marda Rowe. I love the story so far. So these are characters that I know that are pushing that story forward. If we get an anthology from the little children that saw Marda give Kefmo a flower, then I'm like, what is this? I don't care. But these are characters that I know. So
I just want to say that I was joking, but they're fun celebrations of a movie that's been milked up for the past 40 years. I don't mind them for that because
it's not. And again, all the stories are very well written, and I think people are gonna connect to a lot of different ones. It's just not the type of book with the characters that I usually am attracted to. Like the Boba Fett story, underwhelming for me. It really didn't do anything. That you didn't need that story. He's just sitting there because it repeats stuff that already happened in the Bounty Hunter comic book series. Like, okay, we know that. I know some people didn't read it, so I understand it. But the comic, which is Akbar, is 2 pages, and it's all too late to him saying it's a trap.
No!
Look, I'm sorry that I spoiled it. I'm sorry. It's not good. That's the only one that I say just get that out of here.
I have it pre-ordered. I'll probably like skim through it. I did it with the Empire. I eventually like read it all, but I went to some stories where it's like, does it have like the first story that's the crawl thing?
Yes.
Okay.
It did have it. Okay. It did get me. Was it the first or was it the last one? I think it's the last one. It's about the whales. I think it's the last one.
The last one? Okay.
Yeah. And again, that was a cool little fun haha. But it's like, I thought the wheels at the end of Return of the Jedi was going to be a little bit different. But yeah, it's kind of just going over the crawl.
Yeah.
All right. So and I gave it a positive review. I think in general, it's a good one. Wheels.
It's always there.
Yeah, because
It's
it
fun.
starts with, and here we are with Revenge of the Jedi. No, you can't call it Revenge of the Jedi. The Jedi have no revenge. Oh, so Return of the Jedi. Yeah, that makes more sense. Like, okay, it's very fourth wall breaking type of story.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, again, it's fun book. There's nothing to get angry about. There's no story that contradicts a big canon event. So if you just want to sit down for 3 months and pick a story every day, then it works.
I got a little bit sour because not long ago I was listening to a podcast, Star Wars podcast, and they were talking about it was when they revealed all the stories that were coming out. They were like very upset about it. I was like, just don't read it. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, now everyone gets to tell a Star Wars story. No, now I have to know what this character. No, you don't. You don't have to know what Max Rebo did. Like, no.
That's the point of this book. You don't need to know anything about any of these characters. If you know the movie, you'll know the steps that they're going through, and you'll know some of the characters. Some are brand new characters that were in those scenes. There's some good kind of love stories in there.
You just told me that the Sarlacc is vegetarian. Like, do you think that I'll ever think about this when I watch Return of the Jedi? Like,
maybe
no.
When they fall down and he starts burping out, it's funny. The Sarlacc one was a funny one. It just was. Does the Sarlacc really need this compassionate side to him? No. You can watch the movie and still say that he's really digesting them for 1,000 years. He complains about Boba Fett falling down with his jetpack.
The last thing I'll say, there's a story in the New Hope one that I remember people got upset when they read it, and I loved it. It has to do with R5, and he does the sacrifice to have Owen take R2 instead of him. I always loved that story. And I remember people were very upset, like, oh, that wasn't in the original movie. Like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, none of this is. But it's cool because then, like the EV-99 that we know in Mandalorian, he's there. We've seen Book of Boba Fett, I can't remember. He's there in the cantina. That's basically how this ends. He's working at the cantina with R5, and then they have that conversation. So some of them will surprise you. Maybe some of them surprise you that I didn't really like that much, but we'll see. All right, so that brings an end to an episode today. Oti, thanks as always for indulging me, and when I not complain, but when I feel a little bit down about Ahsoka and other TV shows. But you'll be here next week. This is the greatest thing that we've ever seen.
Ahsoka is now my favorite character.
Oh yeah, that'll be something.
I'll slap you through the internet.
People complaining already about the lightsabers. The lightsaber looks like
what?
Because they don't.
I shared a meme that's people complaining about Hera's look. I'm like, she looks like Hera.
Especially now. In the first one, I'll say it just looked like someone painted green. Now it has some.
What do you want it to look like? Like,
it's a difficult look to pull off. I'm not gonna say.
If they do the CGI, I think people will be upset. Like,
no. That's even worse.
Look who's here.
Oh, Dale, you missed everything except the goodbye. Maybe you were there in the chat. All right, thanks, Dale. Thanks to Brennan and to Lauren for being here. Next week, Dale will be here live with us as we discuss the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka.
Brennan will be live.
What?
Yeah, Brennan will be
Dale.
live.
Yeah, sorry. Brennan will be here. Sorry, Dale, they will be here next week. Sorry again, Brennan. They will be on the chat, hopefully. And then Brennan will be here, and we'll have some more guests coming in through the weeks. All right, Oti, people can find you down there on Epic Star Wars, everywhere,
Twitter,
including
Instagram.
Threads. I'm on
Blue
Skies. I still got one code if you want it. It's starting to build up. It's still not, of course, as
How many followers do you have?
I have 66 followers, I think.
Oh wait, I have more followers on Threads.
Ooh, sorry. Is this
and you have more followers than me on Twitter, so I'll probably have like 5 followers on Twitter.
We'll just jump. I'll send you my login. No. All right, it's the same. It's every time that Elon says something, people jump in, and then we get I got like 10 new followers yesterday with all this blog stuff, and then it just trickles back down. But anyway, we'll be back here next week. Talking Ahsoka, talking Star Wars. Stay safe. Be safe. you're in California or the West Coast, stay super safe with this storm going over there.
Yep.
May the force be with you.